Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me here today for this somatic yoga practice.
Let's begin this morning in a belly over bolster if you have a bolster. And of course, if you don't, you could use a comforter, rolled up blanket. Maybe you have something close by that you've prepared for class today. Or maybe you just come into your own pose of choice. It might be reverse shavasana, just laying on your tummy. So we'll bring that bolster or prop horizontal on our mat with the seam down, I always suggest. And then we'll take a tabletop pose over the bolster. Walk the knees back like we're coming into a modified plank, which essentially I suppose we are. And then just front hip bones, low belly down onto the mat. If once you bring the chest down, there's a lot of pressure and you want to support between the ribs and the mat with, again, a towel, a blanket, whatever you've got close by, maybe a sweater, a pair of socks, go ahead and set yourself up. And just adjust where that bolster feels best for you. Again, if it doesn't feel good, you don't have to have it. And then check in with the head and neck. Maybe you turn the head to the side, then check in with the arms. Maybe they rest out in cactus, or maybe you're resting the head, the brow on those stacked hands in some way. So just finding those little adjustments and going ahead and making them, knowing you may require more micro or larger adjustments as the body begins to settle. And then when you are feeling a little more settled, we'll take a nice long, slow breath in through our nose. Feel the back body expand and rise. And when you're ready, just let the breath go in your own way. Maybe it's just one big sigh or a double sigh. If it feels good to take one or two more of those big tension relieving breaths, go right ahead. And then once you complete at the end of the next exhalation, feeling the body just settle down even more. Not staying in the pose if it becomes uncomfortable or you start to feel pain, or maybe you just had your breakfast and it's just feeling a little uncomfortable as your belly's full. Listen to your body, move and adjust and change and shift as needed. Maybe softening down through the eyes, just letting go of all the stories and lists that have occurred so far and that have yet to come. Relax the muscles of the eyes. Begin to follow your awareness on the body, progressively relaxing. The mind slowly following and arriving in that calmer, quieter space. Just following your awareness on the inhales and the exhales. Where you observe space, sensation of filling up on the breaths in, where we feel that extra release of tension and softening in and arriving a little more fully in the present moment on the breath out. Just a gentle awareness, observing what arises without judging. If you happen to have your head turned to one side and you'd like to just make sure you're evening out on both sides and very slowly and gently turning the head to rest on the other temple and making sure the neck feels nice and spacious as well as the throat center. Maybe taking another tension relieving breath or more and settling back in if you've made that adjustment. Closing back down, drawing your awareness in, becoming the seer. And just gently coming back to this moment, the present, what's occurring on your mat for these last few rounds of breath here. Staying fully relaxed in the body. And then after your next exhalation, begin to draw the palms underneath the shoulders. Very slowly, we'll begin to lift the chest as we turn the head back to center if it is turned. And we'll push our way back into our tabletop pose, spreading the fingers nice and wide. And let's just begin with those soft elbows and a nice gentle tuck of the core to create that neutral spine. Take a breath in at center, and as we exhale, very gently press the right hip to the right and look over the right shoulder. Draw the left shoulder back away from the left ear very gently, maybe with a softer bend in the left elbow. Taking a couple full rounds of breath in and out. If the ribs are dropping, just lift them slightly, not to round the spine or extend, but rather find that more neutral position. On our next breath in, we'll wiggle our way gently back to center in slow motion. And then as we exhale, swing the hips gently to the left and look over the left shoulder. Good. Drop that right shoulder back, maybe softening in through the elbow. Left elbow also soft. Ribs gently picked up, core slightly engaged. And after an exhale, we'll use our inhale to come back to center. Let's move through our cat and cow now. Big breath in. Preparing and exhale, rounding the spine, dropping the head heavy between the arms. Feel the space between the shoulders lift, every vertebrae lifting towards the sky, other than the neck and the tail. And then as we inhale, the belly drops down, we expand and feel space through the front of the body as the tail and chin slightly lift. And starting to explore this extension and flexion of the torso in a very fluid, liberating way, maybe closing down through the eyes and just really getting into a flow with breath. Slowing things down. Let's take one more flow through flexion and we'll end in extension, that cat pose, rounding through the spine. Let that head drop heavy and give a little movement through the head and neck once again. Good. We'll come back to a flat back. Walk the hands back, maybe to your prop We're going to come into hero pose from here. So maybe using that same prop, or maybe you prefer your block, or maybe you don't need or want a prop at all. We're going to rest on our shins, stacking the shoulders back over the hips. Good. So same as a seated position, we're pulling that low belly in gently so the ribs are tucked in, feeling nice and strong through the core. The shoulders just relaxing down and back, maybe softening through the eyes, relaxing the jaw, and we'll just take a few rounds of breath. Just releasing the tongue from the roof of the mouth, relaxing and unhinging the jaw and the brow, and finding breath here in this position. Good. Let's start to slide the hands closer towards the knees. So the arms are a little more fully extended, but they won't likely make contact. And we'll take a big breath in, lift the chest and chin, expand, drawing the shoulders back. And as we exhale, round the shoulders forward, pull the navel in, drop the chin to chest. So again, moving through our cat-cow from a seated position. As we inhale, really feel length from the tail to the chin as we slightly bring it up. So not just focusing on curving or flexing through the back body. And as we exhale, we can come as deep as we like, maybe leaning the thoracic body towards the back space. Again, just finding your breath still unhinged through the jaw and the brow, and nice and soft through the elbows. The fingers might just kind of slide towards the knees and slightly back, so we can really feel that opening around the front of the shoulders, the rib cage, again, the chest. Good. And we're going to start to incorporate a flow with one arm and the other alternating. So let's meet in that exhale, rounding the spine, dropping the chin. Take a full round of breath in and out. And then as we inhale, same thing, draw length up through the spine before opening up through the front body. Reach the right arm up and slightly behind. You can follow with the gaze or the chin if the eyes are closed. Exhale, rounding through the spine. Inhale, moving over to the opposite side, maybe slightly twisting the chest to that direction, the arms reaching and in behind, and just getting a flow going with your breath. Relaxing the opposite shoulder down and making sure both shoulders are releasing away from the ears here. Trying to really relax the opposite arm completely as we focus on opening the other side. Again, just moving with breath. Maybe eyes are closed. Let's complete that one more time through both arms and shoulders. Good. Again, we'll end in that cat pose from seated, just rounding through the spine with the head dropped. Elbows soft. Give a little nod of the head from side to side. Good. And then draw yourself back up through the core. Let's bring the hands together at the heart. Bring awareness to the hips, really stabilizing through your root, the sit bones not moving. Pulling in through that navel, we're going to be twisting from the waist and the core. We'll take a big breath in to rise up through the crown, shoulders relaxed. As we exhale, use that core to twist to the right, hands stay at heart. Maybe the chin draws a little further behind us. We're going to move with breath, inhaling back to center slowly, head coming last. Exhale over to the other side. So again, making sure you're not letting the hips draw forward or the opposite hip draw forward as we look over the alternating or opposite shoulder. So nice and stable through the low body and just feeling this movement coming from the core. Thinking of wringing out some of the toxins in that digestive area of the body. Engaging our obliques and deep core muscles to help navigate this movement in our body. Good. And we're going to continue like this until we come back to where we started, or maybe if you want to join me on the right side, and we're just going to pause here. Again, really feel that stability through the sit bones and the hips. Maybe taking the head just a little further, maybe softening the eyes. Relax the shoulders, pull that low belly back in. Good. After an exhale, we'll inhale to unwind. Just nice and slow. Take an exhale here, and then we'll inhale to lengthen, draw that core in. And as we exhale, we'll shift to twist the upper body to the left, maybe the head turning a little further, but the hands staying at heart, the shoulders still relaxed. Find your breath. Heavy down through that right sit bone if we're looking to the left. And then we'll take a big breath in. We'll use our exhale to unwind. Good, relaxing here. Let's release the hands down. Stay closed through the eyes or reclose down through the eyes. Tuck the chin slightly. Find your breath and just bring your awareness inward to observe. Noticing what arises here for you. And when you're ready, fluttering the eyes open, we're going to keep our prop and we're going to release the legs, our bottom. We're going to bring the bolster again horizontally, whereas we were maybe sitting on it in a more vertical way. And we're going to come to turn away from that bolster. You can bring it in or slide your body back. There's going to be space between your bottom and the bolster, maybe just a little, maybe through this between the sacrum and the bolster. The legs can extend. We'll start with a bend in the knees. So we're going to release the arms, the hands to the outer side of the head here. So the bolster's around the shoulder blades. As we lift slightly here, just making sure the neck is supported and start to engage your core, sweeping the arms around with palms open, clasp behind the back of the head. Let's take a breath in with the chin to the chest. Exhale all the way. And then as we inhale, keep that core engaged as we drop back, letting the arms just drop open. Maybe the gaze would be at the ceiling if the eyes were open, or maybe towards the back wall. Eyes can be open or closed, whatever feels better for you. And again, just unhinging through the jaw. As you soften the belly a little, just feeling the navel draw back towards the spine, it kind of feel like the belly's hollowing out here, feeling more space through the solar plexus down towards the pelvis. Good. We're going to start to flow. Take a big breath in. As we exhale, roll the upper body towards the right. As we inhale, come back to center, dropping the head and back of the arms back. Exhale over to the left where you might kind of lift slightly and just get into this kind of rocking movement here, taking rests and making sure you're not just fully releasing through the back of the head. We're controlled through the core here, engaging when you need to engage, especially as we gently pull up to one side and just feeling that core just slowly controlled as we release our way back. So we're not just flopping passively as if it doesn't feel good to stay closed. And we'll move through a couple more rounds on each side. Let's finish off the set that we're on, making sure we're even out on both sides. We'll meet back to where we started with control, but releasing back. And let's experiment. If it feels okay, extend the legs, extend arms. Maybe they don't fully make contact. Maybe you want us to keep supporting the head and just drop back with a little less control. Point through the toes, flex through the heels, or maybe even draw circles through those ankles in the same or opposite directions. And then reverse. Good. And when you're ready, take a big breath and re-engage the core. Really pull the navel back. Feeling everything grow nice and strong and controlled. We'll lift the head, release the arms, bring the forearms to the bolster here, just tucking through the chin, looking down at the space between the feet or softening down through the eyes. Take a couple rounds of breath, just getting used to bringing our head higher than the heart now, making sure we're not feeling any kind of lightheadedness or anything else. Good, and then if you haven't already, take a bend into the knees. As the feet plant, just give the knees a little rock from side to side. Good, and then we're gonna come up, bringing those knees back to center. So just shifting your way back upright and grabbing your blocks. We're gonna bring our blocks to either side of the body here from a seated position. They can be at whatever height you like, depending on the length of your torso, limbs, and all of the things. We're all gonna want something a little bit different. I'm gonna try mine at the second highest height, as I think the lower, I'm not gonna get very much lift, but that might just be enough for you. So just experimenting. And what we're gonna do is come into breath work here with movement. Again, more somatics. If it doesn't feel comfortable or it feels more comfortable to extend through the legs, by all means, you can experiment with that as well. What it's going to look like here is we're going to inhale, press into the hands to lift the bottom. And if you're like me, it's like maybe half a centimeter, maybe you're a little higher, and let out our breath. Okay, so we're going to be moving at our own pace. Don't allow the breath to be super short. Work with what feels right for you and stop if it starts to get uncomfortable or you start to feel like the breath is just too shallow and forced. We'll begin when we're ready, exhaling here, relaxing. As we inhale, straighten through the arms. Don't lock the elbows, but just straighten the arms, lifting the bottom. And then as you're ready, let go and let the breath out. So moving through about 10 cycles here. When you're ready, go. Let's go for 3 more. Once you are complete, either rest the hands down or bring the hands to the heart, or maybe a hand to the heart and a hand to the abdomen. Relax the shoulders, close or soften the eyes, the jaw. And again, just observe. Noticing the rate of the heart, the rhythm of breath. Noticing where you feel energized. Maybe everything just slowing down. Good, one more, maybe fuller breath in and out now. We'll release those arms. Let's set the blocks off to the side. And we'll uncross the legs and cross them in the opposite direction. Good. Let's bring the arms out front, forwards, and palms touching just in front of the chest. Roll the shoulders down and back, nice and soft through the elbows. Rooting down, nice strong core to sit up nice and tall. Good. We're going to inhale, open up through the arms, lift through the chest. Bring the arms back as far as you can without strain. As we exhale back into that cat pose, bringing the palms together out front. Just moving through a couple cycles like this as we prepare for a deeper, longer heart opening and forward fold. Good. Now the next time we sweep those arms back, once they're wide in T, flip the thumbs down, palms away. And then see if we can clasp the hands together at the low back. Roll the shoulders together as we draw the arms to more of an extension, but pull that low belly in. See if you can reach back to let the knuckles come to the mat, or you can release the fingers to tent them if it's not comfortable. And find that length through the spine. Pull the navel in. The ribs are forward now as we lift the chest towards the sky, maybe the chin as well. Again, nice and controlled through the core to help protect our back body. Take 2 big breaths in and out. Sigh out those exhales if it feels good, or even stick the tongue out. Ha. And on our next exhale, think of the chin tucking back to neutral. Release those arms back wide. Float them out front, rounding the spine, tuck the chin, let the fingers connect to the mat in front, and then lead with the chest to lengthen the spine before folding forward. Just dropping the head with a nice bend in the elbows, the shoulders rounding forward as we open up the space between the shoulder blades. Give that head some movement if it feels good. Closing the eyes again if it feels okay. Relaxing your jaw and focusing on deeper rounds of breath. The body just softening a little more with each exhale. Good option to lift the head slightly. Walk the hands over to the right. So again, make sure you don't pull that left hip forward or lift the sit bone on the left side. Just walking the hands over, rooting down through the opposite hip, maybe walking the left fingers a little further away or placing the palm of the left hand on the back of the right. The elbows soften, the head dropping, and nice big breaths. Good. We're going to start to move with breath. So with that right hand planted, we're going to inhale, lift through that core, open the chest, reaching the arm up and slightly in behind. So similar to our seated, and exhale, coming forward. If you need to extend the legs or unwind them, go right ahead. Stay rooted down through that left sit bone, but don't force it, and begin to flow with breath. Pausing in the between the breath, those gentle short breath retentions between each inhale, between each exhale. Good. Let's complete that one more time on the side. Inhale, opening up, pausing. Exhale, floating forward, pausing. Lift the head slightly, walk the hands back to center. Take a breath in, lifting and pressing the chest slightly forward, and exhale, just fold over. Maybe find a little more space to fold here. One more breath in and out. And then we'll prepare for the other side. Lengthen. Walk the hands over to the left. Keep walking them over without feeling that right hip pull forward. We're really rooted through the lower body. Maybe the right palm rests on the back of the left, and we find that place where we can again soften the shoulders. We're not holding muscular tension where it doesn't need to be held, or we're reobserving over and over again to be reminded to let go of any unnecessary tension, habitual tension. We'll just enjoy that nice opening from the right hip all the way up towards the right middle finger here as the head drops heavy. Take a couple more rounds of breath before we begin to flow. Letting that next exhale fully release again. Elbows stay soft, and then we'll start to flow as we inhale, reaching that right arm out, looking in that direction, letting it fall behind to where it's comfortable, pausing before the inhale flows back in, and then we'll flow with that breath. And just really slowing it down. moving with the inhales and the exhales and pausing in the spaces between the breath. Maybe the eyes are closed. Good, and let's complete that one more time. Once the hands are back to one another, over to the left side, just pause for a big breath in and out. Back to center, come to that halfway lift so the spine's more neutral, and then we'll exhale again to fold forward, dropping the head heavy, maybe add that rock of the head from side to side. And then bring the head back to stillness, close through the eyes, and take a couple rounds of breath. Good. We'll use our next inhale to start to lengthen the spine as we lift the head, the chin, and then use the hands to support us and coming on up. Maybe grab a sip of water here. And we're going to come down to our mat. So just grabbing everything, all your props close by within reach, just in case. We'll come down for, of course, a little hip work. Good, we'll come into that constructive rest pose to begin with a bend into the knees. Letting the arms just rest down at the sides. So kind of like a mini Shavasana, getting used to being in a supine position, adjusting so our spine feels nice and long and supported. Again, there's space where we might often feel congestion, maybe softening through the eyes and returning to breath as we start to feel the back body settle down a little closer to the earth. Giving ourselves permission to let go once again. Good, and then we're going to start to heel toe the feet about mat distance apart, with the toes still pointing down towards the bottom edge of the mat. Good, we're going to focus on keeping the right leg still. Take a big breath in, and as we exhale, allow the left knee to drop in towards the right. So we inhale, bring the left knee back. This is very little movements. Exhale, dropping just the left knee in, trying to stay stable through the right side, but not rigid. Let the body kind of flow as it will. Knowing that these aren't macro movements, really, they're just small little movements and sensations we're bringing in. Good, let's flow through that one more time through the left knee. And once we come back to center, pause for 3 rounds of breath, eyes closed, just observing. Good, again, we'll take a breath in to prepare. And as we exhale now, dropping just the right knee in past the midline or towards the left. Inhale to come back, to stack the knee back over the ankle, or just to bring the knee back up organically. And just flowing with breath, eyes closed is more beneficial, but we do what we can. Good, and one more time on the right side. And once we bring that knee back, again, just pausing, of course, make adjustments if needed. Soften through the eyes, internal awareness to observe. Good. We're going to walk the feet in towards one another now. So heel toeing the feet into touch and readjust along the way, neck nice and long. And we're going to bring the arms up over the chest, so reaching for the ceiling. And then bend through the elbows and see if we can bring the forearms and palms together. So the elbows are lifted over the chest. Don't worry if the arms don't fully connect. We're again, just do what we can, but spread the fingers with that gentle contact between the fingertips and the palms. We're going to begin to move with breath as we inhale, opening up through the legs, the hips, and the arms, letting them fully release down in the space between the breath, and then coming on back slow and controlled. So moving very slow by lengthening your inhales and exhales, coming into a deep, full round of breath so that we can slow our movement down. And just trying to smooth out any jaggedness or bounciness in our movements. Not worrying if they're there. Just thinking of moving slow to conquer and smooth. Good. Now the next time we open up through the chest and the thighs, the hips, see if we can come to pause. So make adjustments as needed or use props as needed. Bring those shoulders in gently, and just little movements if needed and adjustments, and then close the eyes and come back to that place of observance. With each exhale, softening more. Good. Pressing the next exhale all the way out. Let's just use our inhale to draw the knees slowly in. No more than a centimeter at a time. Once the knees are up, no rush. Bring a wider stance into the feet. Adjust the back body or pelvis if needed. And we'll just rock those legs from side to side. Good. So maybe the arms are still wide, or maybe you've released the arms. If you haven't, extend through the elbows and just slide the arms down to the sides, maybe with the palms up. Again, neck is nice and long. Good. We'll prepare for a little core work or a little more core work today. So bringing everything back to center and just preparing here again with that nice neutral spine, lots of space between ears and shoulders, engaging the core as needed as we lift one foot away from the mat and then the other. So knees maybe starting bend over the hips, but we are going to extend the legs up. Maybe here just start to flex through the heels or flex through one heel, point through the opposite toe, and just like you're pedaling out through the feet, finding flexion in our different ways, alternating sides. Good. And then when you feel a little more stretched out there, let the legs just relax. Nice softness to the knee, but the sacrum nice and grounded. Press the mid back down as we engage the core, pull the navel back. And then we're going to add the arms here. So again, just adjusting the neck to feel nice and comfortable. Find your breath. We're going to move into opposite arms and legs here. So we're going to exhale all the way. As we inhale, really engage that core as we let the left leg drop towards the earth, the right arm reaching up overhead, not making contact if you can help it. Inhale, coming back and alternating. Sorry, exhale, coming back and alternating. Inhale, lengthen. If it feels better to do it the other way, go ahead. Exhale, nice and slow and controlled movement. Think of the movement being supported by the core as well as protecting our back body. Try to keep those hips and pelvis stable so we're not rocking from side to side to compensate. And making sure you're keeping those micro bends through the elbows and knees, not hyperextending or locking those joints. Let's slow it down even more if we're feeling a bit rushed in our movement. Finding those spaces between the breath to find our fullest expression of each pose. Inhale, lengthen, pause. Exhale, come back to center, pause. Just a couple more times on each side or taking a rest as needed. And once you feel evened out, come back to just letting the arms and legs be reaching up. The shoulder blades, the sacrum grounded, add little movements between the wrists and the ankles, rotating, reversing. And let's continue with those rotations through the wrist as we soften the arms slowly down. And then dropping a bend into one knee and then the other. Lowering the feet back down. So we're in that constructive rest pose. Let's press into the feet, lift the hips, and just sway them from side to side a few times. Maybe the whole midsection of the body is swaying, not just the hips. Let the knees kind of flow with the hips, keeping them in alignment with one another. And then slowly dropping down as we come back to center. Good. Let's give a little rock of the knees from side to side with the feet planted, just a gradual neutralizing of the spine. Good. And then we'll bring the knees back to center and draw the knees into the chest, taking the hands to the knees. Let's exhale to pull the knees in together towards the belly. Open the knees wide, press them away as we fill up with breath. The knees come back together with the arms extended. And as we exhale, drawing the knees back in and just really slowing this movement down. Maybe you've done it 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times, but we're just closing down through the eyes and just really experiencing and allowing ourselves to experience all the sensations and anything else that this movement brings into the body space. Release, connection, flow. When it feels right to you, we're going to start to reverse. Thinking of the exhale occurring when we're pulling the knees or thighs in towards the abdomen, helping to press the breath out below the diaphragm, all the way up through the chest cavity, out of the lungs. Noticing the movement in the shoulders here. Are we compromising alignment of a nice long neck? Good. And then once those knees come back together, just wrap the arms around the shins, readjust the neck, maybe give a little rock from side to side. We're going to draw back down through the feet. So Come back to stillness. Let the feet come down, coming into a couple active bridges here. Release the arms down to the sides with the palms down. Again, making your adjustments. Start to think of the belly just soft, the navel just organically dropping heavy towards the earth. Feeling the breath flow through the body. Becoming really aware of that pelvic bowl and the position that it's in. Most likely more of a neutral or anatomical position here. We're going to start by taking a big breath in and just rocking through the pelvis as we exhale. Press the lumbar spine into the mat. Lift the tail, squeeze the glutes, and then release. So these, again, little movements. Less is more. Moving with breath. Squeeze the glutes at the top. The sacrum stays connected. Think of that tail curving away from the mat, slightly lifting away from the earth, and then releasing back into that neutral position. 2 more times, just with the pelvis and tail. Squeezing the glutes at the top. And on this last one, keep the pelvis tilted, squeeze the glutes and hold them. Keep the breath flowing. Nice and long and slow. Notice you might kind of start shaking or bouncing a little. Control the breath. See if you can feel the belly expand and contract while we just squeeze those glutes. Take one more breath in, continuing to squeeze. Use your full exhale to relax the glutes and feel that pelvis come back into a more neutral position. Notice how it might take a few seconds to fully relax. Again, just pause to observe from an internal perspective a few rounds of breath. Good. And then when you're ready, come back into your constructive pose with the heels below the knees, the arms down at the sides, maybe even this time rolling the shoulder blades slightly in, but then dropping the back body down. Again, lengthening through the neck. Spread the fingers wide, the middle fingers reaching towards the bottom edge of the mat. Take a big breath in as we exhale. Press into the heels and the big toes as we tilt the pelvis, but then continue to lift up. Make sure the knees aren't splaying open, dropping open or in, they're staying stacked, and then press down through those heels and big toes as we feel the head kind of slide further towards the top edge of the mat. Feel the quads activate. Try to find more of a long line, so no drooping down through the hips. Squeeze the glutes. Sometimes we try to use more of the quads and relax the glutes. Let's squeeze the glutes while we're here and find that easy breath. Squeezing those glutes, the abdomen soft or naturally pulling gently back. The breath is what we can control here. Let it flow. Okay, now with the glutes engaged, I want you to squeeze the core and really pull it in. Feel the pelvic floor draw up. Find your breath. Everything squeezing, all those deep core internal muscles squeezing in, but the breath is flowing easily. Just a couple more rounds now. One more inhale. Start to feel the glutes relax as we slowly reconnect one vertebra at a time. See curving the spine to exaggerate that reconnection through, again, each vertebra. So a nice slow release. Once the sacrum connects and the spine comes back into a more neutral, let's give those knees a gentle rock once again from side to side. Maybe take a fuller breath in now and a fuller breath out. Good. Let's come back to stillness, readjust, draw the knees into chest, and take a happy baby here. Maybe you're slowly moving into your happy baby with some exploration of movement. Maybe you're wrapping your pillow, your prop, or your bolster and just hugging it in for a more restorative happy baby. Maybe you're reaching through the fingers to bind the big toes or the outer edges of the feet, just anchoring the low back down. So engaging and lengthening, pressing down through the shoulders, gently through the back of the head. So we can press the low back down, relax the quads, the thigh muscles, releasing heavy towards the outer edges of the mat, beside the ribs. And then, of course, exploring movement if it feels good today to do so, as long as you're not compromising a nice long neck here by doing so. And then gradually bringing yourself back to center to re-pause, to re-relax for 2 or 3 rounds of breath. And at the end of your next exhale, slowly releasing your binds, bringing the knees in towards one another and allowing the feet to reconnect to the mat. We'll set up for a supine twist before we move into a resting pose here. So let's begin to walk the left foot over to meet the right. Pick up the right leg then. So the left foot is grounded, even though they're reaching more towards the right. The right leg crosses over the left. We'll take a big breath in, using our exhale to allow the legs to fall over to the left, the chin to the right. If you prefer a different supine twist or your body's asking for something different, maybe you want to reach the arms up, bend out through the elbows to more to cactus, or take that T position to help really ground flat through the shoulder blades. Wherever feels good for you. Maybe the hands connect overhead some way. Feeling welcome to use props to support the legs if it's not possible to really relax fully. And just re-surrender now in this moment, in this new shape in your body. Slowly letting go. Slowly bringing our awareness back to our body breathing. One more full round of breath here now. And then we'll begin to move on the inhale, bringing the head back, engaging to slowly and controlled bring the knees back up. Once lifted, ground through the left foot to uncross the right leg, and we'll just kind of wiggle our way slowly back to center. Maybe add any movement or stretch between sides, whatever intuitively feels right to you. And then when you are ready, we'll start with the feet wide and then bring the right foot over to meet the left, grounding into the right foot to pick up the left, crossing left thigh over right, maybe kind of shifting the hips slightly a little further to the left. We'll take a big breath in to prepare and use the exhale to let the legs slowly fall to the right now, maybe chin turning to the left. Maybe the legs need more support on this side, or maybe it doesn't feel good to cross the legs in this direction. Do what feels right and honors you. Finding a place again where you can surrender and just come back to observing the body breathing. And again, taking a final fuller breath in. We'll use our exhale, contracting to slowly bring those legs up controlled. Planting the right foot before uncrossing the left leg, bringing our way back to center. And yogi's choice here, maybe a little rock of the knees, maybe hugging the knees with rock, maybe squeezing everything in, curling in and flexing through the front of the body to give ourselves a final squeeze and contraction. And we'll slowly begin to let ourselves come down. You can use that bolster or prop that you had at the beginning of the practice to bring under the legs for a little more restoration if you like, or maybe it just feels good to lay out through the body. Maybe you feel more space to be able to extend the legs comfortably. Let the arms come down to the sides, just wiggling the shoulders in slightly. Maybe the palms flip up, and finally adjusting through the head and neck to feel length and space through the back, sides, and the hollow of the throat. Give that lower jaw a little wiggle from right to left a few times, and then let it come back to center and soften. So there's space between the upper and lower jaw. Again, release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Take a big full breath in. Hold or take an extra little sip and let it go. One or two more like that, filling up. A little extra. Letting it go, everything go. Gradually surrendering every cell, every part, every layer, including the muscles of the eyes, fully relaxed. Find that gentle observation from that inward perspective. Maybe even imagine the hollow of the body filling up with the breath, energy, prana. The whole hollow of the body fully releasing on the exhalations. Notice where you're holding tension and let it go. You are being led. You are being guided. You are being led. I say that a lot because I need to hear it a lot. The more I hear it, the more I believe it. The more I believe it, the more I see it. There are times when life flows along, when it's easy and natural to believe we're being guided. But there comes a point in any journey, even in the most magical of trips, when we look around and say, I don't know where I'm going. We have no plan, we're short on ideas, and we're plumb out of vision. We've gone as far as we could see. Now is the time to practice what you know. Trust, let go. Stay as peaceful as you can. Stay right here in the present moment. Sharpen your tools, your intuition, your inner voice, your consciousness, and your awareness. Do the little things, the small actions that appear right, the things that are right before you. Feel your feelings, move through the fear, wrap up in self-love. Then let the journey unfold and trust that you're being guided and led. Just taking a few more rounds of breath or opting to stay in your Shavasana longer. Of course, you can always come out in your own time, in your own way. If you're ready to move, I invite you just to bring little movements in, maybe lengthening out the breath or taking a couple tension relieving breaths, maybe bending the knees and squeezing in or rocking from side to side or lengthening your body out. Gradually finding your way in a fetal position if you are ready to come out of your practice. Pausing for at least a full round of breath and then gently rising up to find yourself rooted, grounded, and centered. With that, let's take our peace fingers. We can kind of hug the thumbs with the ring and pinky fingers. Just taking those peace fingers, index and middle fingers, and plug them into the earth beside you with the softness to the elbows, shoulders relaxed. Notice where you feel the tips of the fingers making contact to the surface beneath, where you sense energy, feeling rooted, and repeating, if you like, my roots run deep into the core of the living earth. My roots run deep into the core of the living earth. My roots run deep into the core of the living earth. And when you're ready, releasing mudra, giving the fingers a little wiggle as we bring the hands together at the heart. Take another big breath in. A long, slow, controlled or releasing breath out. The light within me sees and honors the light within each of you. Namaste.
I hope you enjoyed today's practice. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Namaste.